Robina, you should put Jana on.
What a great video about founding of the United Nations 75 years ago from one of our partner chapters, UNA USA. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. And it was a great little video and also some just shots of things that we've been doing over the past year. Thank you all for attending our virtual global consultation and staying for our annual meeting. I am Jana Edwards, President of UNA Westchester. We want to thank our members and support for turning out on this beautiful spring day for UNA Westchester's annual meeting. We will present some of our activities, introduce the newly elected board, and get your ideas about where we should go from here. We already got some great ideas from the consultation, and I am planning to have a retreat for our board as soon as we can meet in person. This is our first public event run virtually, and I certainly hope that we will all be able to meet face-to-face for UN Day in October. If during the course of this meeting, you have ideas on future initiatives or events you would like to see, please enter them in our chat box. Also, if you want to volunteer for any of our committees, we would also love to hear about that via the chat function or by email. The purpose of the UN Association is to mobilize Americans to support the work of the United Nations and encourage the United States government to play a strong leadership role at the United Nations. It is a program of the UN Foundation and the largest network of advocates and supporters of the United Nations system in the world, with over 28,000 members. Our group has a strong voice in Congress, and we are fighting to make sure that the United States pay the dues for the United Nations budget and peacekeeping. Representative Engel, as chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, has always advocated in favor of full payment of dues for both regular budget and peacekeeping. If you are not yet a member, please register on the website or send a message to us at the United Nations Association Westchester at gmail.com. The introductory rate is only $25 per year, and students' memberships are free. So I would encourage all of you to pay here online. Now I will conduct a short annual business meeting, including a summary of the annual report. Many thanks to the board and committee chairs for putting together the report, which is available on our website and was sent to all members electronically. As the format of this meeting is a webinar, unfortunately, we will not be able to see the faces of all participants, but we hope you will provide ideas or ask any questions via the chat function. Following the summary, I will hand the floor over to Professor Joan Caton, chair of the Nominations Committee, who will introduce the newly elected officers and directors of our board. Full bios for the officers and directors are on our website. Elections took place last week electronically, and I'm happy to announce the slate was fully elected by our members. Now I call on Vice President and Program Chair Marcia Brewster to give the highlights of our program over the last year. Marcia, please.
Thank you very much, Jana. And I just wanted to thank Troy and Peter Yo for their wonderful facilitation. And all the facilitators. I thought the consultation went extremely well. And as program chair, that gives me good heart. I wanted to mention that the annual report covers the past year from May 2019 until the present. We normally have 4 or 5 public events each year and then some specialty events during the course of 1 year. Last year, 2019, the main focus of our work was climate action. And so our annual meeting last year in May, as well as UN Day in October, focused on this. And I wanted to, it's all on climate action. And I wanted to mention that we had a lot of youth climate activists, as well as climate action initiatives at the county level, Westchester County, led by George Latimer. And I want to mention in particular Peter McCart and Nina Orville, who attended and facilitated both of those events. They're both on the Westchester County Climate Crisis Task Force. I also wanted to give a call out to Paul Presendiu, who represents both the youth programs for UNA Westchester, as well as for the Federated Conservationists of Westchester County. And they were our partners for the Youth Climate Action events last year. Paul was also able to engage many young climate activists in high school and college who provided demonstration projects to those events, as well as another webinar utilizing those same people for Earth Day on April 22nd this year. On March 8th this year, 2020, we celebrated International Women's Day on almost the last day before the state went into COVID-19 lockdown. The event with the theme Women's Voices Champion Human Rights was held at the Yonkers Riverfront Library and on Zoom. We honored 3 outstanding women of Westchester, 3 different generations, and all writers. Shirley Vaughn Jackson, who was a friend of Eleanor Roosevelt, Mary Calvi, and Danielle Cohn. We had a great turnout and a very exciting event with keynote speakers Gulden Turkos-Cosset, who is a colleague from the UN, senior official, and Mayor Sean Patterson Howard of Mount Vernon, who inspired the enthusiastic crowd. Other program events that we organized or co-sponsored last year included a universal periodic review on the US human rights record on election integrity. And this revealed a lot of problems with the US elections system. This will be presented at the review of human rights in the US at the Human Rights Council in November this year. And the International Day of the Girl on October 11th, 2019, we worked in collaboration with the Westchester Youth Bureau and many other organizations of the county. Our young professionals group under the leadership of Paul Presendiu had an excellent online program for the Earth Day this year. Our key partners in many of our programs are the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and the Links Incorporated, who work very closely with high school students in our area. And of course, AKA works with a number of NGOs and other partners. We also value working together with local libraries for our programs, including Yonkers Riverfront Library, Hastings and Harrison Libraries, Greenberg Library, and Ossining Libraries. And we also use the Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation in White Plains for a number of our events because it's a beautiful venue and it has lots of space. I want to recognize here the inputs of all of our members of the board and other volunteers and partners who have contributed so much to the program committee over the past year and have helped make these events very successful. We're hoping to have a traditional UN Day event on October 25th at the Rye Public Library for the 75th anniversary, and we hope we will be able to see you in person. Because UNA's Global Engagement Summit and Global Leadership Summit had to be canceled this year, the UNA has been holding a series of extremely interesting and relevant webinars on the main topics of interest to the UN. And they are offered once a week under the Global Engagement Online series. You can find this on our website, www.unawestchester.org. I encourage you all to participate. You can get all the information you need on the website. Thank you very much for participating in our programs. And now I'm handing it back to Yana Edwards, our president.
Thank you, Marcia, the greatest vice president that's ever lived. Thank you so much. Our Education Committee, led by Karen Rockwell Elbradry and assisted by Tricia Blades and Mr. Malheldes, we call him Mr. M, drew on student projects to highlight at our climate action event over the past year and continue to support to Rock Your World curriculum in Westchester County. For the 14th year, the chapter has brought its Peace Makes the World a Better Place to third grade classrooms in Yonkers and Ardsley. Our board members and volunteers love this program, and the young students seem to as well. The Communications Committee, chaired by Patrick Scaretta, has greatly expanded our outreach through electronic media, and now our newsletter, Global Connections, goes out to a much expanded mailing list. We have come out with 5 issues already this year because of the importance of reaching our constituents electronically. They have contained important information on the United Nations Foundation's COVID-19 efforts at the national and local level, as well as what the UNA has been doing in place of the Conceal Global Engagement and Global Leadership Summit. The annual report that was recently issued was distributed only electronically and on the website this year. Patrick has been able to assist by his communications team, especially Nicole Butterfield and Raina Cadeville, who have been responsible for social media and the website. Patrick has also played an active role with all other committees, especially program and advocacy. He is also one of the greatest program chairs we've ever known. The Advocacy Committee, which I chaired over the past year, has had its main task to speak out in support of the United Nations with our representatives in Congress. This year, we initiated a campaign to collect funds for COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund, a joint effort of the United Nations Foundation and the World Health Organization as part of the efforts to support women's rights, as I've pleased to announce that because of our efforts, we, Westchester County Board of Legislators, has passed a resolution in support of the Convention to the Elimination of All Discriminations Against Women, CEDAW. Mount Vernon was the first city in Westchester, the first county in New York, to pass resolutions to support this important convention. We would like to move next to New York City, Yonkers, White Plains, and New Rochelle. Another important program under advocacy is the Great Decisions Series, normally held each month at Harrison Public Library, led by Professor Joan Caton. It is a fascinating program connected to the Foreign Policy Association. We also fulfilled our obligation of the UNA's National Adoptive Future Program to raise funds for the Gambella Primary School at Kungumi Refugee Camp in Kenya. This effort was led by Ambassador Bob Jalango, former ambassador of Kenya at the United Nations. We mobilized over $11,000 to support the school for a 10-year period, and with other chapters in the Southern New York State Division, raised and pledged the amount of $30,000 by the deadline of March the 30th, 2020. Thank you all, the members of the board, and our tireless volunteers for their strong commitment to this organization and their assistance to the program committee today and at every event. In addition to members of our board, I want to mention Alex Avery of the Southwest Connecticut chapter and Rebecca Singh of Ascend Foundation for all their assistance in organizing the global consultation. We have really been working on partnering and collaborating, and we're doing a fantastic job, and I hope we continue to do that. Now may I ask Professor Joan Caton, Chair of the Nominations Committee, to introduce the recently elected officers and directors of our Board of Directors. Joan, you're on.
Thank you, Yana. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, you're good.
Great. As chair of the nominating committee, I'm privileged to work with a very professional and thoughtful committee composed of Doris Benson, Lily Schindler, Marsha Wallace, and Dan Bina. We sought to find eminently qualified and enthusiastic people to fill our new board, and we were successful, and the membership agreed by electing all our nominees. I thank my committee, and I am delighted to introduce our wonderful newly elected board members to you. You've already met our president, who will go on being our president, Yana Edwards, And you've met our first Vice President and Chair of the Program, Marcia Brewster. Next, we have new officer, Lily Schindler. Would you unmute, Lily, and say hello?
Hello. I'm very privileged and honored to continue to be on the board of the UNA USA Westchester chapter. It's really a privilege to serve with such a wonderful board and to have such a exciting agenda of important events that we hope to continue to work on throughout this year. And thank you all so much for all of your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
The next person I'd like to introduce to you is new on our board. His name is Stephen Silver, and he will be our treasurer. Stephen, can you unmute?
Sure. Joan just recently recruited me, so I'm just learning about your organization. I look forward to learning more about it and finding what role I can find for myself to help you in achieving your goals.
Thank you, Steve. The next person is Karen Rockwell. She will be our secretary again. Karen, can you unmute?
Yeah, thank you. It's been an honor to have been a part of this board for a number of years. And as secretary, I'm looking forward to working with a really great group of people for the coming year.
That's great. Those are our officers, and now our directors. Tricia Valdez cannot be with us today, but Nicole, can you unmute?
Hello.
Nicole Butterfield, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Sure, I just wasn't sure it was my turn yet.
Yeah.
So I look
Your turn.
forward, I'm really looking forward to working with the UNA Westchester board, particularly in support of youth empowerment, gender equality, and the prevention of sexual violence. Those are my issues I'm really passionate about, and I feel this is a great opportunity to work on those things among others with all of you. So thank you for having me.
It's wonderful that we do. May I ask Mary to unmute? Mary Sue Downs.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Mary.
Hello.
It's great to see everyone. I am excited that with returning to the board and all of the different opportunities we'll have moving in the future. I think that there's a lot of different opportunities for us to engage the youth, given our current political climate, and I'm really excited on being able to participate in that forum.
And if anybody wants to join the membership committee, are you ready to accept them?
Yes, always. And I think I would love to have as many people join as possible. As our president shared, today's the day to do that. You just go ahead and click in and pay your $25. It's a quick 2-minute registration. So we'd love to see everyone who participated today be an active member.
Right, and students don't even have to pay.
This is true.
Now the next person I'd like to introduce to you is Colleen Gardefee. Colleen.
Hi, Joan. Hi, everybody. Thank you. I'm delighted to be part of this wonderful group. I've been working with this group for about 5 months now. I hope to focus my efforts on programs, education, and communications. And I think it would be nice to shine some awareness on election integrity, particularly when we have Marcia Brewster, who is such an expert. And also, I think we could consider working with the 10 My Brother's Keeper chapters throughout Westchester to support boys and young men of color. I think that might be a nice outreach. So I'm really excited to be working with everyone, and I appreciate everyone's time.
We're delighted to have you. The next person is Paul Crescendio. Paul?
Hello, everyone. It's really an honor to serve another term on the board of directors as the Young Professionals Chairman. Being a member of this organization has been a surreal experience. I mention it all the time to our president, Johanna Edwards, and our vice president, Marcia. I appreciate all of you for serving as mentors, and I'm looking forward to continue to do great work, building coalitions among institutions of higher education, and really making sure that we empower our youth population throughout Westchester County with not only a vision, but also the resources to become local leaders for global initiatives. So let's rock and roll, and let's keep up the great work.
Great. Okay, Brenda Smith.
Yes, thank you very much, Joan. First and foremost, this global consultation is extraordinary. And I must say to the president and certainly to all of the distinguished members of the board, it is my great pleasure to serve once again with you this year. This is an extraordinary, informative group of individuals, and I am just excited. It does not yet appear what will happen. Now, I do represent also the World Federation of Methodist and Uniting Church Women. These individuals, it's 3.5 million women who are now members of the United Nations program NGOs. Each of the 9 geographical areas of the Federation have identified specific SDG Sustainable Development Goals on which to focus during the current season, the 2016 to 2021. So I am so very excited, and I thank you for the opportunity to serve once again with this distinguished group of individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. And now I will tell you the board members that will remain as directors. That is Dan Bena, Bob Jalango, Demetrius Milhelidis, and Patrick Sharetta. And all of them will remain on the board with the new members that we've elected. And I want to mention that we are starting something completely new, which is a new finance committee. On that committee will be Steve Silver and Ambassador Jalango. And leading this committee, we are honored to have Larry O'Connell, a college professor and a finance expert. So Larry, can you unmute? Larry? Okay, Larry is not with us right now, but he was with us before. So I will say that we are delighted to have him with us. And so you have basically now all of the people that were elected and the people who are staying on the board and a new member to start the finance committee. And that is our report. I'm going back to you, Yana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. I appreciate it. Great job, as we've all told you. Now I would like to call on Dan Boehner and Patrick Scaretta to highlight some of the interesting comments that we have been getting over the last hour. Patrick and Dan?
Thank you, Joanna. It's been a great opportunity today, and I believe just a wonderful opportunity in general to work with you all. Many of you can see the chat. I hope you can all still see it. And I'd ask you to continue to write in the chat as we're having this meeting. Some of you I know are new to us, and in each case, we'd really like to hear from you, our old friends, our new friends, and those of you who are our new friends. I want to again reiterate what Yana said. Please join us as members. I'm not sure how that works, Marcia and Yana. When you say that students are free, do we really mean youth are free, or must they be actually assigned in a class?
Up to the age of 25, they're free, through 25.
Whether they're students or not?
Correct.
Okay,
Youth.
great. I think
youth.
that's important. It should
You're
be
right, Patrick.
Well, there have been many great comments, and I think that what we were planning to do was read off a number of them at the end. But as it turned out, organically, Alex began to read them during his stint. I don't know, Dan, if you saw any that you thought we missed that we should highlight, but I was very satisfied reading off the ones that we had. We had those 3 great moments there where we looked at what do we tell the Secretary General? What do we ask of our elected officials, the United Nations staff and all of its aspects, and also businesses, NGOs, and lastly, and possibly most importantly, ourselves? Dan, did you see anything that you wanted to add
You know,
to what was
Patrick,
already said?
yeah, rather than pick out a specific comment, I'd say the one thing that was heartening was how many comments were framed in a constructive and collaborative way. And despite everything that we're seeing in the news and the media, certainly that informed some of the poll results that we saw during the consultation, but it wasn't an opportunity to be kind of a negative critique. Everybody's comments, I think, were hopeful, and they were doing exactly what we were hoping, which is looking forward over the next 25 years. And yeah, everyone is acknowledging that there are horrific challenges that we face today, but I think similarly, many, if not everyone, has been focused on where do we go from here? What are the solutions? What's the path to get there? So I was really heartened to see those comments fly by lightning quickly, but very, very positive overall.
And some people had very specific ideas that'll be great for us to utilize in when we make a recap. We're going to make a recap and bring this to UNA USA in Washington. They'll aggregate this information together. And so those specific comments are great. However, I have to say, I really like John Maxwell, who said more like the 35,000 foot comment, read, be more accepting of others. And those comments also, I think, were very helpful. I wish we can all be very hopeful. Sometimes I struggle with this at this point. I wanted to be on the communications part of our board because I think this is a critical moment for the United Nations and for the United States in terms of its international relations. And we're not only talking to the people in Westchester, but some of you have remained on from Southern Connecticut and from the Southern District in New York, from New York City, and the Bronx in particular. All of you and all of us who are together are part of an international community that thinks globally. And many of us now are being called upon to really communicate that. So I wanted to just end my comments with thanking Nicole and Raina personally, because I'm not very adept at either web development or social media, and they have really helped exponentially be a megaphone for all that we hope to accomplish. So I just wanted to end by saying that I would like Paul, who I can see on the screen now, bring us more young people to expand that communication base.
I was actually going to mention that there were numerous comments about young professional engagement. And so I know there's a lot of work ahead of us. I wanted to also give a recognition to not only to Raina, who's really a great resource in helping us out, but also to Harshil Shet, who is the vice chairman for the young professional, who's on the call right now too. We have a lot of plans that we're going to be launching not only for outreach to higher education, institutions of higher education, but also partnering with other chapters like the newly created Bronx County chapter, the Brooklyn chapter we just got connected with, and also the entire Southern New York division. And there are also other young professional organizations that we could partner with. I know the city of Mount Vernon has an active municipal young professionals group. There's also the young professionals group for the Alzheimer's Association. There's also one for the Westchester County at large. So there's other organizations that we could partner with for specific events and, overall coalition building.
Overall coalition building, because there's always specific events. But what we have to keep in mind is that we are a very international community, and you're bringing us the young people to whom this will matter in the future. I thank you so much, Paul. I thank you, Marcia and Joanna, for your leadership, and thanks for allowing us to have this chat. Marcia, will you take it over, or Joanna?
Back to Jana.
Yes, I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself. Thank you, Patrick and Dan, and all of this fantastic board. I think it was a fantastic day. Hopefully, the people had gotten something out of this. We need young people. Paul needs people working with him because it's about the future. And if Paul, in his leadership, he's really kind of galvanized and gotten people together. And in order for the future to work, then young people have to step up and challenge us older folks and challenge this country into moving into another direction. But thank you to our speakers, presenters, the new members of the board, our co-sponsors, interns, and volunteers. It has been a pleasure to work with you all, and hopefully we'll continue to work for the betterment. The only prerequisites we're asking people to join us is to be humanitarians. That's all we ask. If you come and you care about the world, then we'll be a better world in the future. But I Appreciate it again, all those who participated. Peace and blessings to you all, and have a great, great evening and the rest of the month. Thank you.